Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Trinadapi Sunichena Torad Iva Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Hare Nama Hare Nama Hare Namaiva Kevalam Kalo Nastyeva 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 Gatir Anyata. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. May Krishna bless all the devotees of Cologne, including Madan. May you be protected, and may Krishna give you all blessings. Tonight, we are studying chapter 7 of the Bhagavad Gita. As I have explained several times, and my methodology is that the main things I want to teach, I repeat them over and over again. In this way, by repetition, you learn it without even knowing, but you learn it. My goal is to give you the gist of Bhagavad Gita. So as we learned, we are now studying the middle 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, which Prabhupada writes is the most confidential chapters of Bhagavad Gita, being protected by the first 6 chapters and last 6 chapters. If you recall, we ended last week's class with one of the major shlokas, how Krishna said, of all yogis, the bhakti yogi, the one who has great faith in Krishna, the one who is always worshiping him, the one who is always thinking of him, that was the topmost yogi. So this chapter picks up from that final point made at the end of chapter 6. In Sanskrit, this chapter is known as Jnana Vijnana Yoga. Jnana means transcendental knowledge, and Vijnana means transcendental realization. Those are two different things. You may have theoretical knowledge, and you should, but until you put things into practice, you don't have realization. But once you start practicing the knowledge, then it turns into vijnana, scientific or realized knowledge. So that is the distinction between jnana and vijnana. One is knowledge, but vijnana means realization, tangible understanding of the knowledge from personal experience. So, chapter 7, Prabhupada entitles Knowledge of the Absolute. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Absolute is defined in the first canto, second chapter, by Sutta Goswami, answering the questions of the sages of Naimisharanya. He says that Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdyate. Sutta Goswami was asked by the sages of Naimisharanya 6 very important questions. So this verse answers one of those questions. What is the absolute truth? Absolute truth means true in the past, present, and forever. That's absolute truth. So, Sutta Goswami says that this absolute truth is one substance, tattvam, one truth, but it is understood in 3 features. Just like fire has the features of heat and light. You cannot separate the heat and light from the flame. They're part and parcel. So the absolute truth is one, but it has 3 progressive levels of understanding. First, we call Brahman. What is Brahman? The all-pervasive spiritual energy. Just as here in the material world, everything rests on material energy, but material energy is coming from a superior source, from God himself. It's just one of his energies. So Brahman is the effulgence coming from Krishna's transcendental body. That is what we call Brahma Jyoti. The effulgence naturally coming from Krishna's transcendental body is called Brahman, and it's all pervasive. Everything rests on that spiritual energy of Brahman. There has to be a resting place for everything. So the resting place of both material and spiritual is this all-pervasive Brahman. That's the first feature of the absolute truth. Second feature, Param Atma, Krishna in your heart, in the heart of every living being. Krishna is in everyone's heart. So that's the next feature of the absolute truth. And then we come to the ultimate feature of the absolute truth, Bhagavan. And notice, so many times in Bhagavad Gita, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. It is Bhagavan who is speaking Bhagavad Gita. The question is raised, this Bhagavad Gita is written by Vyasadeva in his book Mahabharata. So why didn't Vyasadeva say Sri Krishna Uvacha? Why does he always say Sri Bhagavan? There's a reason. Vyasadeva wants to impress upon the reader that you might think Krishna is some ordinary person. So just to counteract that, I'm going to put this word Bhagavan, the supreme authority, the supreme person. That is Bhagavan. Actually, Sanskrit, Bhagavan. The Van ending means possessor. Just like in this chapter, we will come across a word Jnanavan, possessor of jnana or knowledge. So Krishna is Bhagavan, possessor of opulences. Here you see in my screen Radha Krishna. So I gave a class just last Saturday that Radha represents all the opulences of Krishna. She is the personification of all of Krishna's opulences. So Krishna is called Bhagavan because he has all opulences to an unlimited degree at the same time. And there are many categories of Bhagavan, but Krishna is called Purna Bhagavan, the complete possessor, not partial. Sometimes Lord Shiva is referred to as Bhagavan. Sometimes you will see even Indra and Narada is referred to as Bhagavan. But they are not Purna Bhagavan. Purna or full, like you have Purnima, full moon. Purna means full. So the full Bhagavan is Sri Krishna. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. And he is the speaker of Bhagavad Gita. So that's the absolute. Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. The first 3 verses I entitled Knowing Krishna. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Sakta Manaparta Yogam Yunjan Madasraya Asangshayam Samagrangma Yata Gyasya Sita Shrinu. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, now hear, O son of Pritha, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. So like I said, this verse picks up from the final verse of chapter 6. How by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, that's what he talked about at the end of chapter 6. The Bhakti Yogi, with mind attached to me. If your mind is attached to something, it's because that thing has some attraction. Because something has an attractive feature, you become attached to it. So, Krishna is saying here, the yoga of full consciousness of me, your mind needs to be attached to me. And thus you can know me in full, free from doubt. Now, this poses an interesting question. What is the context when Krishna says, you can know me in full? Because even Krishna himself does not know himself fully. So how are we going to know Krishna fully? Prabhupada explains this. Krishna sits down at some moment and begins to think about all of his energies. And all of a sudden he discovers a new one. So even Krishna himself doesn't understand himself fully. So the context of this phrase, knowing Krishna in full, means knowing those 3 features of the absolute truth. Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. That's the context of knowing Krishna in truth. If you just know Brahman, you only have partial realization. That is the Jnani. The Jnani can at best understand Brahman, but his understanding of the absolute truth is partial. The yogi, he can understand Paramatma, but even that is partial. But the devotee, the bhakta, the one who's practicing yoga in full consciousness of Krishna, that person can know all three features of the absolute truth. Text number 2. Jnanam tehang savijnanam idang bhakshyam yasheshata yaj gyatva neha bunyon yaj gyatavyam avashishyate. I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. So this phrase, phenomenal and numinous, refers to both physical and metaphysical knowledge, or both material and spiritual knowledge. So this chapter is going to give us, and here Krishna is assuring us, if you understand this chapter, you're good. You're good to go. Now comes a very famous verse. Manushyanam sahasresyu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanang kaschin mang veti tatvataha. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. And of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So you should consider yourself very, very special, rare. Why? When it says here, one may endeavor for perfection, that means one is trying to become self-realized. Aham Brahmasmi. Remember, in chapter 2, the discussion was the difference between the body and the soul. When you factually understand the difference between the body and the soul, that's the first level of self-realization. That is called Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. I am spirit. So Krishna says, how many people do you know are actually serious about understanding who they really are? You are. But how many other people there in Cologne? Okay? And of those who have achieved this self-realization, Krishna says, maybe you will find one who understands me. So you are on the path to understanding Krishna. You're going to go beyond that first level of self-realization. You're going to surpass that if you stick with this program of Bhagavad Gita, and if you take up to the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which is the very means of self-realization in this age of Kali. I began the program today. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam. Hello, Nastyeva, 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 Gatir Anyata. You want to become self-realized? Hare Nama. No other way. Nastyeva, Nastyeva, Nastyeva. The only way you're going to realize Krishna in the age of Kali is through this Harinam. No other way. And through the agency of Bhagavad Gita. Let's go to the next section. Oh, I love this next section. Understanding the two energies of Krishna. Bhumir apanalo vayu kang mano buddhir evacha ahankara ahankara iti yang me binna prakritir ashtadha. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Altogether, these 8 constitute my separated material energies. So this is the first energy, the material energy. Now, what is the meaning of separated? Very good. Just like I am recording this class, I make an audio recording and a video recording. Tomorrow, you can go on my Facebook or YouTube page, and this whole class will be there. Everything that I'm doing is recorded. But when you're watching it on the video, it's separate from me. It was done at this time, but the actual thing that you see on the video, that's at a different time. It's separated from me. So the material energy is separated from Krishna. Now we get to the next energy. Aparayamitas twanyang prakriting vidime param jiva bhutang mahabaho yayedam daryate jagat. Besides these, meaning those 8 separated material energies, there is another superior energy of mine. Notice, he's now declaring those material energies. If he's using the word superior, that must be inferior. Yes, the material energy is inferior. Here he says there is another superior energy of mine which comprises the living entities, you and me. Just like in the symbol Om is actually 3, A-U-M. That is Aum. A stands for Krishna. The letter U stands for Radharani. M, the letter M, stands for the living entities. That's everything. That includes everything. So this superior energy of Krishna, remember we learned in Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, we are spirit. So here, we belong to Krishna's superior energy. Problem is, what's our problem? We're identifying with the inferior material energy. That is Maya. Maya means I'm the superior energy, but I'm identifying with the inferior energy. What is Krishna consciousness? What is Bhagavad Gita teaching? What is the purpose of mantra? This morning, we had a Zoom program with a college class. So there's a team of devotees from LA Temple. So I'm always asked to explain the Hare Krishna mantra. So here we have the correct understanding. We are spiritual. We're identifying with the material. So how to get out of that? Mantra. Man means mind, heart, consciousness. Tra, to deliver. By chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, our consciousness is taken out of entanglement with the material energy and is placed on the spiritual energy. Just like right now, you're hearing Bhagavad Gita. So if you are paying attention to the subject matter, your mind, your consciousness is now out of the material energy. Now, right now, for this class, your heart and consciousness is in the spiritual energy. Right now, depending on the degree of absorption, you're liberated for this time. Because you're not absorbed in material things. You're absorbed in transcendental spiritual subject. Let's continue. Oh, I forgot. Besides these, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mine. Notice, Krishna claims us. Krishna is claiming us. Superior energy of mine. So you should feel good about that. Krishna claims you as belonging to him. Just like Meenakshi and Kishore with their son, Krishna. They claim him as their son, right? Yes. So Krishna is claiming you as belonging to him. That should make you feel good. Krishna is claiming you. Hey, you're part of me. You're my family. Which comprises the living entity who are either exploiting or utilizing the resources of this material inferior nature. So the word is dharyate in the Sanskrit. Dharyate. Prabhupada gave two meanings in the synonyms. If you look at the Gita, two meanings are given: exploiting or utilizing. The demons, they exploit the material energy. Why? Because they think, oh, this material world is for me to enjoy. That's the mentality. Like Ravana. Ravana thought every woman was meant for him to enjoy, up to and including Sita. He found out differently, didn't he? But that was Ravana's mentality. Everything is for my exploitation. So the non-devotee demon, he exploits Krishna's energy. The devotee utilizes. Just like I'm using computer, microphone, camera. You see, well, you don't see it right now, but I have my studio. I'm using many material things, but not for exploitation. I'm utilizing these things to serve Krishna. I'm utilizing this Zoom technology, not for sense gratification, but to preach Krishna's message. You see the difference? Exploitation means for me to enjoy, and utilization means let me do something to serve Krishna. Same thing with your food for life. You're not just cooking food to eat. No, you're making food, prasad, and you're offering it to Krishna for him to enjoy, and then you're distributing. So, if you just make a meal and eat it down, you've exploited. But if you offer to Krishna and distribute, now you're utilizing. That's the difference of consciousness. Etad yonini bhutani sarvani upadaraya aham kritsnasya jagata prabhava pralayastata. All created beings have their source in these two natures. Of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world, know for certain that I am both the origin and dissolution. So here is yet another verse, and there will be many verses, where Krishna is practically saying, I am God, I am the Supreme. Here's one of them. All Krishna is saying, these are the two energies, these are the two natures, material and spiritual. And I am the origin of that. That's it. So Krishna is claiming, this is coming from me. Now the next section, verses 7 through 11, I entitle, As Pearls Are Strung on a Thread. And this first verse, verse number 7, is a very strong verse, proving that Krishna is supreme. One of my favorite verses. Mattat paratarang nanyat kinchid asti dhananjaya mayi sarvam midang protam sutre managina eva. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. What is Krishna saying? I'm God. No truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. Again, going back to what I said in the beginning, the all-pervasive spiritual Brahman energy that comes from Krishna. Everything is resting on Krishna's energy. And he gives us a nice analogy, as pearls are strung on the thread. What happens if you cut the thread? All the pearls come tumbling down on the floor. So, this existence, whether it be the material existence or the spiritual existence, the thread is Krishna. Rasoham apsu kaunteya Prabhasmi Shashi Suryayo Pranava Sarva Vedeshu Shabdake Paurushang Vrishu. These next series of verses are list of Krishna's vibhutis or opulences. Later on in chapter 10, Krishna will outline 81 specific material vibhutis. But for now, he wants to give you a few. O son of Kunti, I am the taste of water. Or cranberry juice. So, what is that? Why is it that water quenches our thirst? It's because Krishna has put his potency in that water. I am the light of the sun and the moon. You all know there in Panama how it gets very, very, very hot. But nighttime comes, the full moon, maybe you'll go out for a stroll or sit on your patio in the swing. That soothing, cool moonlight. Where's that coming from? Krishna. I am the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. Yes, all the Vedic mantras begin with Om. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of mantras. We chant the Maha Mantra. Why is it called the Maha Mantra? Because of all the thousands and thousands of mantras, this Hare Krishna mantra is supreme. And of course, there'll be that person. Oh, Krishna says, I am syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. So how come you don't say Om, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna? Some people think they're clever. What they don't know is Om is already contained within the Hare Krishna mantra. You don't need to recite Om. It's already there. Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. There you go. The seeds of the Maha Mantra. I am the sound and ether and the ability in man. Yes. Somebody who's puffed up, he does something and he takes all the credit. You see these athletes. Yes, I am the champion. I did this, I did. No. You can take partial credit. Because who gave you that ability, Mr. LeBron James? The ability came from Krishna. Don't be puffed. Not that he did. I'm just using that as an example. But you'll see sometimes these guys puff up their chest. I did this, I did. Yes, you had some part to play. But the ability comes from Krishna. Punyoganda pratibhyangcha tejas chasmi vibhavasau jivang sarvang jivanang sarvabhuteshu tapakshasmi tapashvishu. I am the original fragrance of the earth. I am the heat and fire. I am the life of all that lives, because we exist because of Krishna. We do not exist independently. Krishna can exist independently, not me and you. Our existence is dependent on Krishna. If Krishna forgot us for a second, we'd be gone. Our existence is dependent. In the same way, the sun ray is dependent on the sun globe. The sun ray cannot exist independent of the sun globe. And I am the penances of all ascetics. In Canto 2, Lord Narayan tells Brahma that he is very pleased with his penances and he's going to empower him to create the universe. At that time, Narayan tells him, the potential power is penance only. So if you want to accomplish something in this world, you students out there, you have to perform penances and austerities. You want to be a super athlete, you have to do penances and austerities. If you want to become a great transcendentalist, you must also do penances and austerities. Not that you can just sit, just like Arjuna. At the end of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is expecting Arjuna to fight. You'll not see anywhere in Bhagavad Gita Krishna telling Arjuna, okay, Arjuna, you sit on the chariot, smoke ganja, and I'll do everything. Arjuna has to do his part. Yes. So Krishna is expecting us to do our part. Penance and austerities. Bijang mang sarvabhutanang vidipartha sanatanam buddhir buddhimatam asmi tejas tejasvinamaham. O son of Pritha, know that I am the original seed of all existences, the intelligence of the intelligent, the prowess of all powerful men. Same theme. Krishna is pointing out everything is dependent on him. Balang balavatang chaham kamaraga vivarjitam dharma virudo bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshava. I am the strength of the strong, devoid of passion and desire. I am that kind of sex life which is not contrary to religious principles. So these are the initial vibhutis or opulences of Krishna. Now we come to the next section, the insurmountable material energy. Ye chaiva sattvika bhava rajasastamashaschaye mata eve te tan vidhi natvahang teshu te mayi. Know that all states of being, be they of goodness, passion, or ignorance, are manifested by my energy. So this theme is throughout this chapter. Everything's coming from Krishna as pearls are strung on a thread. I'm in one sense everything, but I am independent. Yes, everything is coming from Krishna. Everything is Krishna's energy, but Krishna has his own separate individual existence apart from everything. And I am not under the modes of material nature. You and I are. We're constantly under the modes of material nature. You feel that every morning when you get up, how hard it is to get up. And as you're getting older and older, you realize, oh my God, how hard it is. I'm realizing that. This body is giving me so much trouble. Some of you have already gone through serious diseases or operations. Yes, we are under the control of the material modes of nature, but not Krishna. He is independent. For they, on the contrary, are within me. So here's another verse where Krishna is asserting that he is supreme. Nothing is equal to Krishna. Nothing is superior to Krishna. Tribir gunamayar bhavayar ebi sarvam idam jagat mohitang na bijanati mam ebya param avyayam. Deluded by the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, the whole world does not know me, who am above the modes and inexhaustible. So as long as I'm under the influence of the modes of nature, I will not be able to understand Krishna, who is beyond the modes. If you really want to understand Krishna, you have to become liberated. And that will be explained. What is the process of liberation? That's explained towards the end of chapter 14. When you engage in bhakti yoga without stop, then you are in the liberated platform. As I said, to the degree that you are totally absorbed in this class, for this period, you are above the modes of nature. Now comes one of the top 25 verses of Gita. Something I preach, I always use this verse. Daivihi esha gunamayi mamamaya duratyaya mam eva ye prapadyante mayam etang tarantite. This divine energy of mine consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. So yes, the material energy is, practically speaking, insurmountable. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. Here is the solution. You want to overcome the stringent laws of the material nature? Only one remedy: surrender to Krishna. In my favorite bhajan, Bhaja Hure Mana Srinandanandana Abhaya Charanara Vindare Durlabha Manava Janama Satsange Taraha E Bhava Sindhure. Taraha E Bhava Sindhure is the same as the last line of this verse. Mayam etam taranti. In Sanskrit, taranti; in Bengali, taraho. Cross over. In the song Bhaja Hure Mana, he's comparing material existence to an ocean. So, if you try to swim, say you go to the Cologne Canal, I'm going to swim to Hawaii. Can you do it? Imposible, senor. Imposible. Why? Because that Pacific Ocean is insurmountable. In the same way, material existence is an insurmountable ocean. But if you go on a boat, you can go to Hawaii. So there's a boat that will take you across the material ocean of material existence. That's explained in the 10th canto. What is that boat? Krishna's lotus feet. If you take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, the whole material ocean shrinks down into the water contained by the hoof print of a calf. How difficult is it to cross over the water contained in a calf's hoof print? Even a child can do it. So, although the material energy is insurmountable, if you take hold of Krishna's lotus feet, the material existence becomes as easy as crossing over the water in a calf's hoof print. Now we come to the next section. So we just remember, surrender. Surrender to Krishna is the secret. So now Krishna is going to explain the surrendering process. Next two verses are also very important verses, especially this one. Namang duskritino mudha papadyante naradama maya aparita jnana asurang bhavam asrita. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. So this verse points out who will not surrender to Krishna. This verse does not apply to you because you have all indicated by attending this class that you want to surrender to Krishna. But you will find lots of people, they don't want to surrender to Krishna. So they fall into one of these four categories. Either they're grossly foolish, they're the lowest of human beings, they may be very, very materially educated, but Maya has stolen their knowledge. And then there are the out and out atheistic demons. Four classes of people never surrender. And now we get to the four kinds who begin to surrender. Chaturvidya bhajante mang jana sukriti narjuna arto jigyasa artarti jnanicha bharatarshava. O best among the Bharatas, four kinds of pious men begin to render devotional service unto me, the distressed, the desirer of wealth, the inquisitive, and one who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute. Me, I was 3 out of the 4. When I came to Krishna, I was in total distress. I was inquisitive, and yes, I was searching for knowledge of the Absolute Truth. Therefore, as soon as I came in contact with Prabhupada, with Prabhupada's books, with Prabhupada's devotees, with Prabhupada's prasad, immediately I was captured. Didn't take long. So we fall into one of these categories. Now you may say, you Indian people may say, no, I don't fall into these 4 categories because I was born with Krishna. Yes, I can accept that. But you didn't get there overnight. You got your birth, and you got a birth where right from the start, you began hearing about Krishna. You earned that over millions of lifetimes, and we're getting to that. That verse is coming up. So don't think that you got this birth overnight. It has taken you a long time to get, so don't spoil your opportunity. Tesham gyani nitya yukta eka bhaktir vishishyate priyo hi gyani no tyartam ahang sachamama priya. Of these, the one who is in full knowledge and who is always engaged in pure devotional service is the best. For I am very dear to one, and one is dear to me. Yes, this is the stage we want to come to, where Krishna becomes very dear to us, and when you reach that stage, you become very dear to Krishna. You are already dear to Krishna, but we want to go even further. We want to become very dear to Krishna. Everyone is dear to Krishna because everyone is Krishna's offspring. But how many of us can say that I am very dear to Krishna? That you do not know. That you have to achieve. Udara sarva evaite gyani twatmai vame matam astita sahi yuktatma mam evatu tamangatim. All these devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous souls, but one who is situated in knowledge of me I consider to be just like my own self. So study Bhagavad Gita every day, and Krishna will consider you just like yourself. Being engaged in my transcendental service, one is sure to attain me, for I am the highest and most perfect goal. Now comes another, one of the famous verses of Bhagavad Gita. Bahunang janmanam ante Gyanavan mang prapadyate Vasudeva sarvam iti Samahatma sadurlabha. After many births and deaths, one who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me. Again, you didn't get where you are overnight. You have gotten to, as it says here, after many births and deaths. Congratulations. Congratulations. You are on the threshold of surrendering to Krishna, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Mahatma, great soul. So when you come to the stage that you fully accept that Krishna is the cause of all causes, now you are Mahatma. But you have to come to that stage where you are convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt that Krishna is the Lord of my life. Are you at that stage? Only you can. I don't know. I have to worry about me. I have to worry, am I at that stage? The next 4 verses I entitled The Facts Regarding Demigod Worship. Kamaistaistayaritigyana prapadyante anyadevata tang tang niyamamastaya prakritya niyatatsvaya. Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own nature. Yo yo yang yang tanung bhakta sraddhayarchitum ichati tasya tasya chalang shraddhang tam eva vididham yaham. I am in everyone's heart as super soul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make one's faith steady so that one can devote oneself to that particular deity. I love this about Krishna. That even though he's supreme, he does not, Krishna is basically saying, oh, you have some material desire. You don't want to come to me. You would rather worship some demigod? All right, I'll help you. Just see how nice Krishna is. He doesn't get angry. You're not going to worship me? I'll kill you. I'll smash you. No. Krishna's cool. Krishna's nice. He's your dearmost friend. Oh, you want to worship demigod? I'll help you. I'll make your faith steady. You devote yourself to that demigod. Very interesting. Sataya sardaya yuktas tasya radhanam ihate labate chattatak kamang mayaiva vihitan hitan. This last line, mayaiva vihitan hitan, is the most important word in this whole section. Endowed with such a faith, one endeavors to worship a particular demigod and thus obtains one's desires. But in actualities, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. The demigod is not independent, because Krishna is also in the heart of the demigod that you worship. And the demigod cannot grant the benediction unless Krishna in the heart of the demigod says, let it be. So the intelligent person, after reading these verses, says, wait a second, why should I go through a middleman? I'll go directly through Krishna. Yes. If the demigod has to take sanction from Krishna, I'll go directly to Krishna, even for my material desires. That's how a devotee thinks. Last verse of this section. Antavattu phalang teshang tadbhavat yalpame dasam devan devaya jo yanti madbhakta yanti mamapi. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship demigods will go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. So, the planets of the demigods, since they're material, they're temporary. When the universe is annihilated, end of your enjoyment. People are anxious to go to heaven. You can go for some time, but existence in heaven as a demigod is temporary. Any post of demigod, even up to Lord Brahma, is a temporary post. It's not eternal. But what does Krishna say? But my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. And Krishna's supreme planet is never annihilated. It's eternal. So make your choice. Do you want to worship some demigod? then go to the planet of demigod, and then eventually come back, birth after birth? Is that what you want? Or do you want permanent liberation? If you want permanent liberation, worship Krishna. The chapter now ends. Who can and who cannot know God? Avyaktam vyaktam apanang manyate mam abuddhaya parang bhavam majananto mamavyayam manuttamam. Unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, was impersonal before and have now assumed this personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme. Yes, some people think that the form of Krishna is temporary. No, Krishna's form is eternal. Nahang prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavrita mudho yang nabijanati loko mam ajam avyayam. I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible. You all know from the Mahabharata, everybody saw Krishna, but very few people understood Krishna. The Pandavas understood, Draupadi understood, Kauravas didn't understand, Dhritarashtra didn't understand, Duryodhana did not understand. They were all confused about Krishna because Krishna did not reveal his true self, because they were foolish, they were unintelligent, they were envious. But because the Pandavas were pure devotees, Krishna revealed himself to them. Vedahang samatitani vartamanani charjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mang tu veda nakaschana. Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. There's another definition of God. None of us can say that. We don't know what we were in our past life, and we don't know what's going to happen in the future. Otherwise, we would be investing in the stock market and we'd be gazillionaires. No, we don't know anything. But Krishna knows. And Krishna's knowing has nothing to affect your free will. This is a point a lot of people misunderstand. They think, oh, Krishna knows everything, then I don't have free will. No. Krishna's knowing has no basis on your choice or free will. Please, never misunderstand. Krishna knows what you're going to do, but his knowing doesn't have any influence on your choice. You make the choice, but Krishna knows what your choice you're going to make because he's God. Icha dvesha samuktena dvandva mohena bharata sarva bhutani sangmohang sargayanti parantapa. O Scion of Bharat, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities arisen from desire and hate. So this is what happens when we leave the spiritual world and enter the material world. We are born, like I sing, Om Ajnana Timirandasya, I was born in the darkness of ignorance. That's material birth. And what happens? I'm bewildered by desire and hate. Yesham tu antagatang papam jananang punya karmanam te dvanva mohanir mukta bhajante mang dridda vrita. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. This is what it this is the prerequisite to go back home, back to Godhead. You have had to had some previous pious background. Now in this life, you have stopped all sinful reactions and you are engaged in Krishna's service with determination. Jara marana mokshaya mamasritya yatantiye te brahmatad vidu kritsnam adyatmang karma chakilam. Intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me in devotional service. They are actually Brahman, spiritual, because they know entirely everything about transcendental activities. So the intelligent person is endeavoring for liberation. And how do they do that? Take refuge of Krishna through devotional service. Hearing, chanting, remembering, praying, worshiping, the 9 processes. Last verse. Sadi bhutadi daivang mang, sadi yagyang chaye vidu, prayana kali pichamang, te vidur yukta chetasa. Those in full consciousness of me. The chapter started like that. Last chapter ended like that. Those in full consciousness of me, who know me, the Supreme Lord, to be the governing principle of the material manifestation, the governing principle of the demigods, the governing principle of all methods of sacrifice. So that's what was explained in this chapter. We heard so many references. The governing principle of the material manifestation is Krishna. Everything rests upon Krishna as pearls are strung on a thread. Can understand me and know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death, the final exam. Next week, we will study chapter 8, and Krishna will answer this question. What is the final exam? I'm not going to spoil it now. Your homework, study chapter 8. Pretty good. I was a minute over, Shrilesh. I sing this song for your protection. First of all, protected from Maya, protected from illusion, protected from ignorance, protected from COVID-19. Namaste Narasimhaya Praklada Klada Dayane Hiranya Kashipura Vakshan Shila Tangana Kalage Ito Nasringa Parato Nasringa Yato Yato Yamitato Nrsimha Bahir Nrsimha Hridaye Nrsimha Nrsimham Adim Sharanam Prapadye Nrsimham Adim Sharanam Prapadye Nrsimham Adim Sharanam Prapadye Tavakara Kamala Vare Nakam Adbhuta Sringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringam Keshavadrita Narahadi Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Keshavadrita Narahadi Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jai Jagadish, Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish, Jai Jagadish, Jai Jagadish Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey Ram, Hey Ram, जग में सचो तेरो नाम, जग में सचो तेरो नाम. हे राम, हे राम, तू ही माता, तू ही पिता है, तू ही माता, तू ही पिता है, तू ही तो है राधा का श्याम. हे राम, हे राम, हे राम, हे राम. तू अंतर्यामी सबका स्वामी, तू अंतर्यामी सबका स्वामी. तेरे चरणों में चारों धाम. हे राम, हे राम, हे राम, हे राम. तू ही बिगाड़े, तू ही सवारे, तू ही बिगाड़े, तू ही सवारे. इसे जग के सारे काम. हे राम, हे राम, हे राम, हे राम. तू ही जगदाता, विश्व विधाता, तू ही जगदाता, विश्व विधाता. तू ही सुबह हो, तू ही शाम. हे राम, हे राम, जग में सचो तेरो नाम. हे राम, हे राम, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshama. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshama. Hey Ram, hey Ram, hey Ram, hey Ram, hey Ram, hey Ram. Thank you, Priya, for appreciating. May Krishna bless you, protect you, maintain you. I see you all next week. Please